A professor tried to boss me around until she realized who my husband is. My husband works for a pretty prestigious university as the director of student life. He oversees a decent-sized staff, and their work encompasses all manners of student activities, groups, Greek life, etc. By the way, this comes from Fluffle45, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. A little background before I get into the incident. A few months ago, we were expecting our baby. Most people on campus knew this, and knew that my husband, let's call him Joe, would be taking paternity leave. When the big day came, I called him at work and told him it's time. Meet me at the hospital. And he dropped everything and ran out the door, as you do. In the delivery room, we had plenty of downtime, so from time to time, he checked his work email while I rested. He's looking through it and goes, "What the F?" A professor wrote him the most caustic, unhinged rant, saying, "Basically, I came into your office to see you about a matter concerning my students, and you weren't there despite the department hours clearly stating 8 to 5. This is unacceptable and unprofessional. Contact me immediately." He LOL'd and said, "Won't she feel silly when she gets his out-of-office reply?" But no. 10 minutes later, she's pestering him again. Finally, he sent her a very terse reply, and it seemed that was the end of it. But not for long. Every day for the next week, this professor came into the office demanding to know if Joe was there. More than one tear was shed by the staff during this time. I don't know exactly what she was saying or why no one else could do what she needed. The staff was kind enough not to burden Joe with this while he was on paternity leave, but reports are it was like having an angry Dementor come through. On the first day, Joe returned to work. He got to meet this professor face to face. He was in his office on FaceTime with me, actually. When yelling erupts from down the hall, "Uh-oh," he says to me, "Bet that's her." We hung up, and what conversation happened in that office can only be imagined. Or maybe he told me and I forgot. #newborn life. By all accounts, she was cantankerous, irate, and incorrect in what she was trying to do, and could not be told otherwise. As he is in charge of the department, but not of her, he could only put his foot down on the request, but not the behavior. Finally, she left and the whole situation was done and dusted. It's finished and forgotten. But again, not for long. Fast forward to yesterday, I decided to pop in with the baby to surprise him, and hopefully we could go to lunch. Also, show off the baby, of course. When we arrived, it was squeeze all around from the office staff. And one of the ladies took the baby for a tour around the building. Aww. That's cute. She just steals your baby. I've been holding that kid for 3 months straight, so I was happy to let her. Joe's admin assistant told me he was in a meeting for another 10 or so minutes, and then she went off on the baby world tour. So I decided to sit in his office and enjoy merciful silence. But, and you guessed it, not for long. Enter the professor from heck. I knew it was her before she said one word. She looked like an ivory tower Karen with a "I want to talk to your dean" hairdo. "Professor from heck, does nobody do any work around here? This is outrageous. Where is admin assistant? Why is Joe even on the payroll if he's never here? Go find him." What? "Oh my effing god, are you too effing hungover to accept a simple direction? What the F is wrong with you? I'd punt your butt out of class looking like that. I don't care where he is. Go and get Joe." Me. "Oh, you think I'm a student?" "Oh, I'm gonna pretend I'm not a student now, sitting in the office with the university sweatshirt and a book bag. What group are you in? Because Joe will be very interested to hear how inept you are." I'm like, "Book bag? Oh yeah, diaper bag, LOL. At this point, I decided to ride this out and hope he comes back and sees it in progress. Opie says, "Let's say I am a student. What makes you think I work here?" That was exactly the wrong, or right, depending on your point of view, thing to say. This lady comes undone in a torrent of maniacal hissing and shrieking. Her vitriol knew no bounds as she directed at me, the office staff, my husband, all students except hers, the building itself. I've never seen such a tantrum. Give the baby a few years. As she's having her meltdown, I moved out of the chair where I'd been sitting and sidled up to a photo of our wedding that Joe hung up. I leaned against the wall like a laconic cowboy with my foot up, arms folded, smirking. Unsurprisingly, she didn't notice the similarities between the beaming bride and the dumpy, sleep-deprived chick standing before her, but I remained committed to the con. After several moments of non-stop torrent of verbal "Joe's not even fit for community college. How the F did he get a job here?" was the one that made me chortle. She didn't like that much. I hear a flurry of footsteps coming flying down the hall. The admin assistant comes sliding through the door like Kramer, face white as a sheet. I ask her if Joe Jr. is okay. Another coworker had him in another office because they heard Professor from Heck and didn't want his baby self to learn what madness lurks in the world at such a tender age. She has exactly enough time to answer yes before Professor from Heck unleashes the Kraken in her direction vis-a-vis the ineptitude of moi. Clutch pearls. Admin assistant, wait, what are you talking about? That's Mrs. Department Head. Me, still posed like the Marlboro Man, points at my picture. And right on cue, here comes the man of the hour, Joe, complete with Joe Jr. in arm. The coworker holding the baby had called his cell phone and told him what was happening and to get back here ASAP. Joe was livid, but that eerie, scary sort that is Schadenfreude lover's delight when directed at a deserving recipient. He handed me the baby and asked if I was all right, then turned to Professor from Heck. Joe, get out. Don't come back until I've spoken to your department chair. I'm going to lunch. Me, boy, do I have a story to tell you. And out the door we swept, off to lunch where we got pizza and migraines from laughing so hard. It's fun. At this time, I don't know what action is being taken against Professor from Heck, but if I asked, I will surely be happy to give testimony. But there is an update, folks. Okay, Joe talked to the head of the Department of Engineering, and turns out Professor from Heck is an associate professor from Heck, and therefore untenured. Mwah. Joe is leaving for a conference tomorrow and won't be back until Wednesday, so I probably won't know more until then, but stay tuned. Admin assistant is gathering up a paper trail of literal papers that Professor from Heck has submitted that she isn't allowed to, and checks she signed that she can't sign. She'll also be forwarding all harmful emails from Professor from Heck and making a written statement of her behavior. Joe will probably send the emails he received to HR and the department chair, but he's not as heated now on his own behalf, but still livid about the way the staff are being treated, as he was the other day, and might not press too hard except in support of the staff. And there is another update. Admin assistant has submitted her complaint to HR. The Professor from Heck's department chair suggested to her that she not contact Joe's department, not for the least of which reason the thing she's trying to do can only be done by students, and she overtook their responsibility in an effort to mega-ultra micromanage them. Quelle surprise that she treats her students like that and usurped control of a student-led group. In all likelihood, this process will drag on for some time, and she'll probably get a slap on the wrist for both offenses. Update 4. That girl got censured and asked to step down to another institution, jail, heck, wherever. When we last heard from the Professor from Heck, she was making support staff and admin assistants cry on a weekly basis. Yikes, get this girl out. During these summer months, most of the students have been off campus, but that hasn't stopped Professor from Heck from bringing the drama. I'll warn you now, I'm going to obscure some of the details to protect the parties involved, innocent and otherwise. Part of what the Professor from Heck did that started all this trouble in the first place was steamrolling the leaders of a student group she was mentoring, taking over the responsibility, and being an absolute monster to everyone involved. She was told umpteen times that the group's treasury was solely a responsibility of the students, and yet refused to let them so much as play a part. Even though she's given Joe a wide berth, she continues to be harmful to everyone else in the department.
Gosh.
He could not let this go on and began a two-pronged approach to flush her out. In addition to working with HR and providing them weekly examples of her awfulness, he also asked the employee who works with the incoming and outgoing checks from and to student groups to dig deep. Sure enough, jackpot, eureka. Professor from Heck was signing the checks she can't, submitting the checks she can't, hence the fights with the office staff, taking over the funds from the group once received, cooking the books, and skimming off the top.
No way.
You're done, girl. You're done. In the same week, Joe received word from HR that action would be taken and learned about the straight-up fraud, which probably caused Professor from Heck to be an extra prickly pear. He received a call from the chair of Professor from Heck's college. The guy was halfway around the world on vacation, but he was so disgusted by all of this, he actually spoke to Joe to discuss matters. I like to think he was sitting on top of an elephant and or drinking a Singapore sling while making this call. Professor from Heck's horrendous actions now brought to light, she was presented with the choice of police involvement or resignation. Last I heard, she still hasn't made an official reply. Now, if it were me, I'd have chucked Professor from Heck in the slammer and thrown away the key. But the powers that be don't live for messy drama like I do, I guess. There you have it, friends. There's our exciting, if not slightly disappointing conclusion. So long, former Professor from Heck. Good luck finding a job in any school anywhere now. Comment 1 says, that was a delightful read. I'll never understand why someone who's doing something illegal or unethical would draw more unnecessary attention to themselves. Makes it way more likely you'll get caught. But she did it, and she got caught. Sucks for her.